Hey friends, Juno here. Welcome to a pick a card reading with messages that were meant to find you in this moment right now. So whenever you're watching this, that is the moment that this message is for you. In a moment, I'm going to show you all three piles to choose your reading, but before I do, I'm going to play a quick 30-second nature meditation. Just allow it to help you clear your mind, and then I'll show you the cards, and you can choose which pile. Down in the comments below, there will be links to where in the video your reading will be. I'd like to thank everyone who subscribed to my channel so far. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to see this channel grow, so thanks for being here with me. And if you'd like a private reading, I have those available on my website, www.junodrome.com. Right now I'm offering two different kinds, either a pre-recorded short video reading or a longer one-on-one reading via video chat. So either way, let me know if you'd like one, and we can schedule one for you. So, without further ado, here is your nature meditation, and then we will get into your reading. Hey there, pile number one. You chose Charlotte's Web. Today's book theme is all classic E.B. White children's books, because I happen to have three of them, so it's perfect. So we'll get to the book in a minute. What I do with these is at the end of the reading, I will generate a poem through rolling some dice to get words from the book, and then that tends to incorporate some extra meaning into your reading. So, it's pretty great. For your rune today, you have Pertho, which is the rune of initiation. It is all about a kind of greater awakening and awareness into larger, deeper, maybe spiritual perspectives. It can be phoenix rising from the ashes kind of a moment in one's life. For your shamanic healing oracle cards, we have creativity, and we have transformation. So I'm going to read from the book these two cards at some point in the reading because I really, really love the descriptions in the Shamanic Healing Oracle. It's so kind. It's the kindest, most personally insightful oracle deck that I've come across. So I really love that one. I will always, what do you call it? Recommend it. So, for the handmade tarot deck, the deck I made myself, you have the Devil, the Hermit, the Ace of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles. And for the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you have the Emperor, the Tower, the Knight of Cups, the Two of Swords, and the Five of Pentacles again. So we will dive right into your reading here. Whenever I find cards are repeating themselves, that means deep, important emphasis to your reading. So because you have the Five of Pentacles twice, that really talks about pinpointing specifically the situation that you have found yourself in. Either you're currently in this position or you have recently experienced it. I'm guessing that you're there right now, and if you are in the Five of Pentacles energy right now, I'd like to say that I hope you're doing okay. It's not like horrible or anything, but the Five of Pentacles tends to be these deep, dark night of the soul periods in our lives. They come to us when really deeply challenging, difficult situations occur in our lives, and they leave us feeling in the dark and lost. It's that sense of you know, the abyss, right? And you know, if you can look at this illustration, we have the two poor people who are, you know, destitute and stuck in the snow. But as you can see, they're outside of the church, and so with that church window in the background being so prominent, it talks about how these difficult periods that happen in our lives can take on larger dimension. They can have a spiritual connection in the sense that they unlock within us our ability to see our own strength and to awaken within us that sense of being able to move forward and understanding the gravity of the largeness of our place in the universe, you know, that no one individual person is stuck within themselves, right? Like we're all interconnected, and things are much larger than whatever one particular situation that we are stuck in is leading us to think. You have the Ace of, well, where do I want to move from here? So that's the energy I think that you have been in, but you are radically moving out of that period, because we have the Tower here, and the Tower indicates massive change. So there are two major change cards in the tarot. There's the Tower and there's Death. The Tower is more of an external situation that happens that we have less control over. I mean, we don't really have control over the major change that's coming to us anyway, but with the Tower, it comes out of nowhere, and it happens seemingly to us, as opposed to the Death card can be a more internal, radical transformation of consciousness. The Tower is a radical transformation of our surrounding lives. So something really deep and intense has happened to change the situation that you are in. We have the Hermit card, which talks about going within and being alone. And it can go either way of whether it's somebody who's chosen to be alone in order to gain better insight or somebody who feels isolated. So it's potential within your situation, especially with all of the Five of Pentacles going on, that you might feel very alone right now and very isolated. And that is a tricky place to be. We have the Two of Swords here, which talks about being at a crossroads and feeling stuck. So I think that, maybe you feel stuck, maybe you feel isolated, and, and things are feeling kind of bleak for you, But you're moving out of that energy, or you have the potential to. Because like I said before, this period can take on a much larger spiritual dimension. And because you have the rune of initiation here, this rune really talks about that awakening to something much larger than yourself. And so I think what's happening is that these events that are occurring are triggering within you an ability to awaken larger parts of yourself that maybe you didn't even know that you had. I'm thinking of like a Kundalini awakening kind of a thing, just because one of the books I have, my camera stacked on right now has that word on there, and I think that that's really fitting for your situation, right? With that, it's sort of like moving the energy through your body, but it talks about like finding this connection to larger forces, things beyond the day-to-day, beyond the 3D Earth, whatever. It's like larger dimensions. And so I think that you are going through these difficult things, and that is going to reawaken within you an ability to see in those larger dimensions. We have the Devil here. The Devil tends to talk about like addictions, things in our lives that are holding us back. Addictions can be anything from something very simple, to like food or something like that, to anything as extreme as like drugs or sex or anything. It's in the other deck, in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it's depicted as the Devil, and there's two people who are shackled below him. So it has less to do with the thing and more to do with being shackled to it. Addictions are things that we can't stop, right? We've got this compulsive thing to doing something, anything, behavior, substance, any of it, and it's less to do with the thing itself and far more to do with becoming a slave to it, giving up your personal power to that thing that you're addicted to, right? That's it in its extreme, and it's more mundane. I mean, I can think sometimes this card to me talks about just distractions, things that are keeping us stuck, and so I think that potentially you have those in your life, or you have had those in your life, and you're finding that it's becoming time to try to move out of that. And by actively working on moving away from those things, you have the potential to be moving into this new beginning here. And I don't mean to be so bleak. I just wanted to get all the dark stuff out of the way, because you're going through this period of transformation. So that was the energy that you're moving from, but you're moving into these much newer places. based on this heightened insight. Creativity too is absolutely Kundalini awakening. So if you don't know what that is, like Google it. But it's that energy, that creative energy force of the universe that can flow through all of us. But we move it from our lower chakras up into the third eye and the crown, and then out and above. And that energy process opens within us this deeper connection to all that's around us, and this deeper understanding of what is right for us specifically, connecting to, if you want to call it your higher self, or you want to call it your oversoul, or you want to call it, there's lots of different terms for this, but basically it's the you that you are, regardless of these addictions, right? These compulsions, what society has told you needed, any of that, any thought, mundane world thing that's come into your life and made you think you can't do something. The higher self is that larger connection that of you, the you in the most optimal circumstance, and the you connected intimately to all of the other things that are, right? We are all made up of the same things physically, atoms, but we're all energy, and our thoughts are all, I think, we're interconnected, right? We're all interconnected anyway, and that give and take of who you are, that perspective shift into something much larger, can really help you. This Pertho rune in one of the books that I have, it talks about how it's connected to the eagle, an eagle symbolism, and eagles fly above the world. So they come from this very, they can come to this very like pinpoint perspective of, here I am in my life and in my situation right now, but they can take flight and fly above it and start to see the whole big picture of the whole world and how we're all interconnected. And that releases a lot of this stuck energy, this Two of Swords stuck energy, by starting to see things from a larger perspective. You start to be able to not sweat the small stuff. What's that saying? Don't sweat the small stuff? Yeah, something like that. Don't sweat the little things. By shifting to that larger perspective, some of those things that have thrown you through a loop and, might be all consuming of your consciousness right now, your mind, you might be stuck in worry or overthinking or stuck in behavioral tendencies. By finding that larger perspective, you release yourself from that stuck energy. You release yourself from the pain, because you can start to see things in perspective, and realizing that we all go through struggle, and that we all have the ability to move through that, and that the challenging moments of our lives can be deeply important lessons for us and for others. And so I think you're moving out of that, like I was saying, and into this Ace of Pentacles energy. So the aces are the beginnings, and the pentacles are all about material plane. They're about wealth, for sure, but also about health, feeling abundant in all that surrounds you, your physical surroundings. And so by reconnecting to this spiritual center, by starting to see that, your physical world will become abundant, and you will be able to go on this new journey of really solidifying and creating your world around you to fit your life in the most optimal setting for who you are. And so, you have to move through this tower. The tower comes in when our lives are set up in such a way that they do not work for us. And, you know, uh, if you're anything like me, I'm an incredibly stubborn person. And so for us stubborn people, sometimes we, out of fear of not wanting to change or not knowing how to change or any of that, we get stuck with a life that isn't ours. You know, we get stuck with a life that we don't want. We get stuck surrounded in life that, you know, to the point where we ignore it. We, you know, we find addictions to try to run away from the fact that we're unhappy and that we don't like our lives around us. And the Tower comes in to say that that life that you're afraid to leave, that's going to crumble away whether you like it or not now. The universe is telling you, like, no, you cannot sit in this any longer. This is not working for you. This is not good for you. And so it's going to go away, and that might be painful. You know, the Tower can be incredibly painful, and it can also not be. It just depends. If the situation that we're in is incredibly painful, the Tower comes and bam, can move us directly into a period that is so much better for us. And you know, like, I had this exact situation happen to me not long ago, so this is all hitting me home really intensely. This reading might even be mine for me, you know? But like, you gotta let the life that you don't want crumble away, because it's not meant for you anyway. It's not gonna make you happy. Um, and you know, don't try to numb the pain around you, you know, like, move through it so you can release it. You can release that pain. Following addictions doesn't do that. You don't release it that way. You just hold it in and then you hurt yourself. But like I said, you have the potential to move into this new beginning, and the insights that you gain from that, you have the Six of Pentacles here, and the Six of Pentacles is an energy of giving and receiving. It's that kind of like give and take. But I think that you'll be in a position to give back the knowledge that you've learned and really help other people through similar situations. That's the thing about going through these difficult periods. When you open up within you a more, if you can open yourself up to this spiritual understanding, and spirituality is yours. It's your individual thing. You don't have to think about it like a religion where it's dogmatic and you have to follow any rules. Or no, there's no rules with spirituality. It's you and your raw connection to everything. You know, you and your intimate raw connection to all that is. And once you find that perspective, you'll start to see that these difficult periods that you've been in hold lessons, like very applicable, deeply important lessons that you can go and share with other people. And then that makes those things that happen to you, it makes them become something that is shareable and healing. And by sharing the knowledge that you have gained and the wisdom that you have gained, you can help other people through similar situations, and that can be incredibly rewarding. I'm going to read these two cards here before I get too far. I guess I've already talked about all the other cards, but the first one is creativity. This is a profoundly creative time period for you, whether it is in the traditional arts, music, or writing, or it could be a new curiosity about exploring a way to funnel your creative urges. To be creative, you need to access your right brain, your emotional, sensing, feeling center. Do this by trying things you've never done before. Get physical, dance, doodle. When we acknowledge and act upon our impulse to create, we are aligning our will with the Creator. In this we can experience the flow of being on your highest path. Start creating and notice how time has no meaning anymore. Hours fly by before you realize it. It is not a struggle, it is pure inspiration. This card can also signify a birth of a child or a whole new way of being. So you see, that said so much of what I've already been talking about. It talks about the, you know, finding your highest path. And it talks about, you know, a birth of a whole new way of being. You are entering into that. That energy is coming to you. And with the Tower, it's going to come to you whether you want it or not. And it's going to disrupt everything. But on the other side of that, you have the Ace of Pentacles. And, you know, look, it's depicted as a star here, so it's also the star. And the star card comes directly after the Tower. So by moving through that cataclysmic whatever, on the other side is a new day. It's beauty. It's the dawn of a new life. It's you living your life for you the way you need to, and following your highest ideals of what you need for you. And when you can find that, there's nothing that no one can take that from you afterward. When you can find that perspective and hold it within you, that will carry with you for the rest of your life. And nobody can take it from you. You've got the transformation card here. After the rain comes the sun. After the caterpillar comes the butterfly. This situation you are inquiring about is somehow acting as a catalyst for a major transformation. If you find yourself questioning or having regrets, don't. Try not to second guess yourself or beat yourself up. Nothing happens that is not supposed to. Many of your issues and situations are not anything to be upset about. They are a path to wholeness. You are the one who infuses drama and chaos into the situation. You are always given opportunities to grow and learn. Growth and learning very rarely come about when everything stays the status quo and just as you think it should. Be thankful that you have this wonderful new opportunity to transform and heal into a better and higher rate of vibration. So this is, same thing that I've just been talking about, you know, the whole thing. It's so resonates all together. What was it? Nothing happens that is not supposed to. Don't beat yourself up. And, you know, we're given opportunities to grow and to learn. And growth and learning rarely come when everything stays the status quo. So just like I was saying, you know, you can't, if you're stuck, you know, that stuck comes from a place of fear, and fear is holding us back into, you know, it's holding you back, and it might seem easier to stay where you are, but your unhappiness is keeping you in a place that's painful. And so life is giving you circumstances that you'll have to shift your perspective no matter what. You have to. And I mean, you know, it's your life. You can do whatever you want. You know, you don't have to. But you are in a situation where it's the best way forward for you, you know? And, you know, it's an initiation into something much larger than you could have known. And creativity here, you might be a creative person, you know, and if you are, that creative energy, I mean, I'm an artist myself, and that's where that comes from. It all comes from the same place. Our spirituality, and I think that art is divinely given to us. It's us channeling something into being from these deeper places. I firmly believe that. Um, and so you're entering into a period where it's gonna flow. It's gonna flow through you. And, um, embrace that flow and see where it takes you, because it's going to take you to a much happier place than where you've been. And, um, trust yourself in that. Trust who you are, because you have so much to offer yourself and the world. Your abilities are unique to you and are important to us. um, this Six of Pentacles energy here, it's you have the ability to help the world in your specific way, from who you are. And who you are deep down is needed, and is much more important to the world than you being who you think you need to be based on societal conditions and pressure. Um, so, yeah, we need you. We do. We really do. That's our reading. I was really channeling a lot there, so I really hope you got a lot out of that. That was great for me. I really like this reading a lot. And we're going to do the book now. So I'm going to generate a poem out of words from this book. So I'm going to roll some dice, get that going, and then... How? Off. Her. I. The. Rear. Sneaked. Okay, so your words were how, off, her, I, the, rear, sneaked. I'm going to rearrange those into something that makes sense. Okay, so I got how I sneaked the rear off her. That's funny. So I guess what that's talking about is like how I sneaked the rear off her. It's kind of like you know, you're opening up into something that you don't see coming, right? Like when it's all said and done, when you've moved through the things that you're moving through, and you finally come out on the other side and come to where you are then, it's going to be like one of those moments where you look back and it's like, oh, whoa, like I didn't even realize that could have happened this way. I didn't even know that this is what was going on. Your perspective is going to shift so much that it's like you're sneaking yourself into a new situation, into a whole new life. I think that's what it's going to be. It's like all of a sudden you're going to realize that you're in something completely different, and that your life is all something else, and then it's just something else now. Um, yeah, I think that's what you're moving to, and that's gonna be amazing. So good for you. Honestly, it's gonna be great. Uh, but work through the stuff you got to work through, and enjoy the ride. So yeah, that was your reading. I hope that it resonates. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Subscribe if you can. I'm growing the channel, so I'm trying to reach 1,000. We'll get there. I'm so confident we're gonna get there. Um, and if you'd like a private reading, please feel free to hit me up on my website, www.junodrome.com. Got all my info there. You can just send me a message. I've got a fun chat little thing now, so if you want to chat with me directly, it'll go to my phone like a text message, and we can talk. That'll be fun. So feel free to do that. I don't know. It's cool. Hit me up. See you later. Hi, pile number 2. You chose Stuart Little by E.B. White. Today, as you may have noticed, we're doing all 3 books by E.B. White for the book portion of your reading. I haven't read these books since I was a kid. These were all my mom's, and she gave them to me when she was moving. And I gotta go back and listen to these because they're so cute and sweet. Queet. Queet, if you will. So yeah, we'll get to the book in a minute. But first, we're going to do the cards. So, for your rune today, you have Rido, to ride the journey rune of journeying of all kind, both physical and mental, psychological, spiritual. A lot of times it tends to reflect an inner journey within oneself, movement from one place into another. For your Shamanic Healing Oracle, you got 3 cards that popped out. Most of the time I just picked 2, but we're going to roll with it. You've got Growth, New Beginnings, and Burden. For your traditional Rider-Waite Tarot, you have the 5 of Cups, the Chariot, the 7 of Cups, the World, and the 8 of Wands. And for the hand-drawn tarot deck that I made myself, you have the Hanged Man, Le Pendu, the Knight of Cups, Chevalier des Coupes, the Knight of Swords, Chevalier des Épées, and the Chariot, Le Chariot, en français, s'il vous plaît, and Death, L'Amant. All right. So, we're going to dive right into this. There is so much movement in this spread. It's not even funny. There's so many cards for moving, journeying, moving on, swift movement, going somewhere. So, I think that there's a great possibility that you have travel in your future. Slash, maybe you're going to move houses, maybe you're moving, honestly. I think that you're moving on from a situation for sure, and you are probably doing a lot of internal journeying and transformation because we've got a lot of cards that talk about that, but I just think the undeniable movement out of everything just shows a person who is transforming, is moving on, and is leaving a stuck energy and moving very quickly. So we'll start out with these 2 cards because I think this is talking about where you've been. We have the 5 of Cups and the Hanged Man. The 5 of Cups the Hanged Man talks about being stuck. This is being in a situation where we cannot move. Where for whatever reason, our internal and external landscape have aligned to the point where we don't feel like we can move out of where we are. And the Hanged Man normally talks about being in those periods and using them, or having them be lessons to learn greater insight. So in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, Rider-Waite-Smith deck, as opposed to this one, the Hanged Man is he's hanging upside down, and there's this like glowing halo around his head, and that indicates that this stuck period is actually there in your life to gain further insight. He has done it out of his own volition. He has hung himself upside down, and now he is learning this great, tremendous insight from being stuck. Honestly, he's got more time to go within, more time to reflect, more time to build himself up until he's ready to move on. And like I was saying before, you have the Five of Cups here, and that talks about being sad and losing something. It talks about loss. So either losing a person, losing a situation in your life, being in a life situation that things that you feel you have been working on have not worked out. But the thing about this is you've got the three cups that are overturned, that he's focused on and bereaving. He's grieving the loss of those three cups. But behind him, there are two cups that are still upright. So you may have lost something, but you still have something else left over. And there's some greater insight here. You have eliminated possibilities, and you have a clearer idea of what will work and what is for you from this kind of period. We have the Seven of Cups, which can probably indicate another part of your stuck energy is coming from feeling overwhelmed by possibilities. This is a person who is looking and has a lot of choices in his life, and he doesn't exactly know which cup to choose. And each cup could either give him a lot of what he is ultimately dreaming, or some things that he's afraid of. And so this talks about being afraid to move into something else, and being afraid to move on based on not knowing what's going to happen, and allowing that fear of the unknown keep him from moving forward. But like I said, this card pile is all about movement. So I think that you are going to enter through this loss a brand new period of your life and existence where you're far more clearer on what it is you want and how it is that you can move forward. We have the Death card here, and Death in the tarot talks about change. Death means change, and there are multiple change cards in the tarot, but the Death card is a radical transformation of one's consciousness into something else. So it is the death of a phase of one's life and a birth of a brand new way of seeing everything. And so after this period of loss, you are going to be reborn with a new understanding of reality, of yourself, of anything. So I'm going to read from these Shamanic Healing Oracle cards because they each talk about where it is you're going. I want to read this Burden card first because I think this is talking about that earlier energy, that period of feeling stuck. So let's read that. Many times we take on the stress of those we love and care for. We see it as the ultimate sacrifice. We take on others' burdens to save them the trouble or heartache. Ironically, the way energy and the universe work make this very counterproductive way of operating. When we take on the burdens of others, we deny them the ability to learn and grow from their own lessons. We also interfere with the divine planning and timing. Never one to be thwarted, any lesson circumnavigated will absolutely reappear, sometimes with much more force than what was originally intended. Ask yourself if you or another is taking on the troubles and lessons not belonging to them out of a need to be needed. Oh man, I relate to this so much. This stems from the fear that you or they are fundamentally not enough. This is not true. You are created perfect. Your fears and doubts keep you separated from this truth. This is the separation one can feel from Creator. Once you accept and believe you are perfect and worthy, the tendency to make yourself invaluable to others through your help and assistance will go away. Your relationships can then be based on truth and not manipulation. So there you go. I think that this stuck period potentially, and these choices and not knowing how to move forward, maybe you're afraid of what those in your life will do if you follow your dreams. Maybe you feel stuck because you feel that you have to be taking care of someone in your life, or that you have to be doing things for someone specifically. But I think with this Lost card, it's talking about a radical change in that idea. Maybe something has shifted in your life where you have learned that that is no longer the case for you, or it's not something that's sustainable for you. Like this burden card is talking about, we have to let other people fail on their own, and we can't be there to hold other people up sometimes. Now, if you are in a position of caring for someone, if you're a parent or something, obviously, that's your role. You have to do that, and I'm not telling you not to, so don't think that I am. But sometimes we take on far more of the burdens of other people by trying to help them than we actually need to, and that just showing our love and support for someone doesn't have to mean doing things for them. It can just mean being present in someone's life. And so I think that that is the energy that you were in, and something radical is coming into your life to change your perspective and show you that that's not the only way that things need to be. Maybe you are in a relationship or something like that, and you are coming to the conclusion that you need to break up with this person. Not necessarily. Maybe it's anything like that. Maybe you were living in a house with a bunch of people and you decided that you can't do it anymore and you're ready to move out. Or you were living with family and you were feeling really stuck with that and you're ready to move out on your own, or anything. It can be any situation like that. But whatever the case, you're about to move into something completely different. And we have the Chariot twice. Whenever a card shows up 2 times in these readings, that indicates that this is heavily what this reading is about, and it just needs to be emphasized. So since you have the Chariot twice here, the Chariot is the victory card. So whatever you're moving into, whatever you're moving on from, wherever you're journeying to, you are going to be massively triumphant when you do it. It's going to be a complete and insane radical shift for you that will make you feel so much better and put you in such a happier, lighter, joyous place in your life, that it's not even funny. It's a total and complete radical 180 from where you were. And the Chariot, like I said too, it's a movement. There's a lot of movement in it. It's a balancing of opposite forces. As you can see, there's the 2 sphinxes here, black and white. They talk about sort of the grander scheme of things in reality, and becoming more balanced as an individual, balancing these the yin and yang forces within, the positive and negative, the light and the dark, the masculine, feminine, any kind of duality you want to put it. It's somebody who's far more in balance with those things. And so for whatever the reason that you're moving on, the fact that you're moving will immediately, or eventually, but it looks like pretty swiftly, put you in a very balanced position within your life that you will feel much more peaceful, and tranquil. We've got the World card here, and the World is like the culmination of everything. Look at her. She's so happy. She's so joyous. She has been given the world on a platter. It's like she can do whatever she wants. She's conquered the world. She's ready to live life however she needs to. She's ready to just do and to be and to enjoy her life and her surroundings. She has been unburdened from any burdens and is now free to do anything. She is like the ultimate freedom. So you have that freedom coming to you, and it's coming very, very quickly. The Eight of Wands is swift action. It indicates that whatever we're talking about is happening and moving very, very quickly. So as soon as you allow yourself to change your perspective and to move, maybe even physically move somewhere else, everything else is going to follow like a domino effect very, very, very quickly. We got the New Beginnings card here, so I'd like to read that for you real quick. Water, emotion, energy, all life-affirming and life-giving. Patience is the key. Once the deluge of emotion passes, you will see that left in its wake is a wondrous new day, a rainbow of possibilities. Do not get attached to the emotions that surround this situation. This will only attach your identification with the emotion itself, giving it more power and hindering the release, so that the door to your new beginning will not open. Sit in the emotion, cry, journal, talk it out with a friend, and then let it go. Perform a ritual if you are called to do one. Place your feelings on a bit of paper and let it go, whether through water or fire, both excellent transmuting elements. Be thankful for the experience of the situation and proclaim to Creator that you are ready for the newness that is about to come into your life. So yeah, I think once again too, with this Five of Cups, I think that you need to release the sadness that's within you. Release the emotions, feel your emotions, grieve whatever has ended. The Death card is a new beginning and it's a transformation, but it's ultimately an ending as well. And endings can be incredibly challenging. I know for me, I have a very, very hard time with endings, whether I want to admit it or not. And so, in order to fully move on from the phases that you were in, you have to allow yourself to feel your emotions, even if they're deep and they're scary. But because once you do, once you allow it to move through you, once you allow yourself the time to grieve and to feel and to release those emotions, you will be free. You will be absolutely free with the World card here. And then the final Shamanic Healing Oracle card you have is Growth. So let me read that for you. This situation or time is one of rapid growth. The seeds that have been planted to germinate have germinated and taken root. Go with the flow of this growing time. You may find people and situations falling away from your life, as now they do not serve who and what you are becoming. It may be that your vibration no longer resonates with theirs. It's okay. Wish them well. Be grateful for what they brought to you and you to them, and send them on their way. Room has now been made for new experiences, people, and situations to help you to your next level. If you are not feeling this shift right now, be prepared because it will soon come to pass. Yeah, so that's literally exactly what I've been talking about in this whole reading. That's amazing. The situation, you may find people and situations falling away from your life as they now do not serve who and what you are becoming. So that's the thing, it's tough to lose people, but ultimately sometimes we just don't jive with people, and in order for us to move into where we need to be, sometimes that means letting some people go. And I see you doing that. I see you allowing that shift to happen in your life. And by doing so, you open up the world to yourself. You open up the ability to move through the world in a way that's happy and joyous and good for you and not stuck. You won't feel stuck anymore in your life. You'll be able to move on and move through things so much easier. And things will start happening for you again and coming to you. And you'll be allowed to do whatever you need, The final two cards here, I didn't talk about these. You have both the Knight of Cups and the Knight of Swords. So the Knights of the Royal cards talk about movement within the suit itself. They talk about the journey that you're going on and how you're moving through life in this particular moment. So you have the Knight of Cups. Cups are all about emotions. So you have deep movement through the emotional body, the emotional sphere, understanding, maybe you have to move through sadness in order to find happiness and love. They talk about that journey. And then you have the Knight of Swords, and that's movement in the mental sphere, the mental body. And so you're transforming the way that you think about your life and the way that you think about yourself and the way that you think about other people, and it's a profoundly positive change because it's going to stop you from being stuck and move you into a much more open, swift place for you, and in a place that you'll be much happier. So that's your reading. We're going to do the book now. So for this, I will randomly generate a poem by rolling some dice and finding words from the book. So I'm going to skip ahead in the video to when that happens. And Mr. I A and Rains jumping. Okay, so your words were and, Mr., I, A, and Rains jumping. So I am going to rearrange all of this into something that makes sense. All right, that's what I got. And a Mr. and I jumping Rains. So I guess, what's that talking about? Raining, meaning, kind of a sadness. It's raining, it rains. And a Mr. and I jumping rains. So, to me, I guess it's talking about like jumping, maybe moving away from one another, or there's like a clash between the two of them. So with two people, there's a clash and it's raining. So, that to me brings up this same kind of energy of like losing people, maybe being ready to let someone or some people go. That's what I got. So I hope that works for you. That was a fun reading for me. Please let me know in the comments what you think either way. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow it, and every subscription counts, so please do if you can. I would really enjoy that. And then I have some private readings now available with 2 different options at different price points. Please go to my website, www.junodrum.com, to check that out. Hit me up. I got a chat function there, so you can send me messages if you want and let me know. Hello. Either way, thanks for joining me, and that was your reading. I'll see you later. Tune back into the end if you want to hear the whole poem. So yeah. Bye! Hey, pile number 3. This is your reading. You chose The Trumpet of the Swan by E.B. White. You may have noticed that today it's all E.B. White books because I had some on my bookshelf and I was drawn to them. I haven't read these since I was a kid, but I am so excited to go and reread these because they're just such sweet books, and I bet they'd be pretty quick reads now that I'm an adult, huh? Anyway, we'll get to this book at the end of the reading. What I do with the books is I randomly generate a poem using dice to find words from the book, and then we'll rearrange them into something that fits into your reading. But for now, let's jump in. For your rune, we have Kaunaz, which is a rune of enlightenment, of understanding. It was originally like a torch. And it tends to indicate moving in the right direction, moving into a period of your life through new understandings. For the Shamanic Healing Oracle, you have Honoring Your Energy. That. And you have Struggle. So I'm going to read the descriptions from the book for these cards at some point during your reading because I really, really enjoy the descriptions in the Shamanic Healing Oracle. These cards are so wonderful, and they're so great at just like pinpointing specifically within what needs to be shifted, where you are, what needs to be changed, and in the kindest, most gentlest, most beautiful way. Because even if things are difficult in our lives and we are in a challenging period, nothing is dire enough to freak out. Like everything can be worked out and moved, and everything is a lesson for us for all time. And it's that shift in perspective that shamanism really brings to us, is that understanding of the greater work in our lives, the greater lessons, and the beauty and joy in those lessons, even from the darkest points of our lives. For your traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, we have the Seven of Swords, the Four of Swords, the Page of Wands, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Strength card. For the for my hand-drawn tarot deck that I made myself, we've got the Lovers, the Ace of Wands, the Three of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles again, and the Hierophant. So let me dive right into this. So it looks like you may be struggling a bit. We have the struggle card here. In a period of some heartbreak. So we've got the Three of Swords here and the Lovers card. Together, the Three of Swords can indicate a few things, but a lot of times it's the heartbreak card. And because we have the Lovers with it, I'm really getting the picture here that you have either just been through a breakup, or you went through a very significant breakup at one point in your life that you're still hanging on to, that you're still hung up about. And these two cards together are kind of talking about how that's affected your life in a way that isn't helping you anymore. It's kind of hurting you. And you're kind of stuck in this hurt energy. We have the Seven of Swords here. The Seven of Swords, as you can see, it's a person who is he's running out of this circus tent with this like snide look on his face because he's stolen all of these swords, and he's sneakily running away and really kind of proud of himself in this like really smarmy kind of way. This can indicate a few things. It generally talks about deception in our lives, and it can be twofold. It can be actual deception happening outside of us. Maybe in this breakup you were with somebody who wasn't good for you and was lying to you and maybe cheating on you, or there wasn't communication. They were going against the bounds of your relationship in some capacity, or they just like weren't nice. So it's possible that that was the case, or this can also indicate self-deception. When I'm doing readings for myself, most of the time this comes up in the self-deception category because there's a lot of ways that we deceive ourselves. So maybe this person wasn't like that, and maybe your past relationship wasn't like that at all, but you were deceiving yourself. You were convincing yourself that things were okay for you when they weren't. You were convincing yourself that you wanted things when you didn't. You were convincing yourself that everything was going to be fine when it wasn't. And maybe in the breakup section, like I've been through some times where I've just been in love with somebody, and then I just didn't want to admit it to myself or to them because I didn't want to ruin our friendship, And so then I was deceiving myself about my actual feelings and burying them instead of allowing myself to feel what I needed to feel. And then I got profoundly stuck in my life because of that situation. So it's possible that you're doing something like that, some kind of self-deception here. And we have the Hierophant here, which is kind of helping me indicate a little bit more of this picture of maybe you've been or you've felt unlucky in love, because you've been in potentially codependent relationships too. With this deception card here and the heartbreak card and the lovers and the Hierophant, it's possible that you were in some kind of codependence. Maybe it's based on, you know, ancestral stuff. Maybe this is ancestral stuff for you. Maybe you don't have a picture, when you were growing up, maybe you didn't have very good role models for love and relationships, and so that's left you stuck repeating patterns that aren't yours to repeat. They're patterns that were set by family in the past, by your parents, by your grandparents, by your great grandparents. We, as a people, especially in the West, and you're probably, if you're on YouTube watching this movie, you're probably in an internet society, in not necessarily in the West, but this is in English. You're probably in the U.S. Maybe you're not. Maybe in Europe, but whatever. Anyway, wherever you are, if you're in the West, we, as a group of people, who have we've inherited a lot of this trauma, especially from the previous generations, of kind of like abandoning a lot of things, I don't know, there's a lot that we have to work through as people. And I know, as someone who's worked through a lot of ancestral trauma, as someone who's worked through a lot of that kind of stuff within myself, there's a lot of difficult things from the past that weren't dealt with. We are at a time where a lot of our ancestors bottled everything up. They didn't want to deal with the fact that they were either doing some really horrible things to other people. As a white person, I think that's pretty obvious that our ancestors have done some horrible things to people. So we've bottled that up, we've allowed ourselves to move through society in a way where we don't allow ourselves to be who we need to be. We bottle up who we actually are and pretend to be other people. Our ancestors did that in the very recent past, and it was a survival mechanism. It was in order to survive and to move through things in a way that we could live. But now we're in a different time in society where we have to undo those things within ourselves. We have inherited them from our ancestors, but we don't have to keep them going. And in fact, if we want to not pass them on to the next generations, if we want to do the deep healing of our planet that needs to happen in order for our race to survive at this point, I mean, our whole society has been built around these injustices, this deep, harmful self-destruction, because hurting other people is ultimately hurting ourselves. Every human being on this planet is interconnected, regardless of where in the world you are, regardless of where in society you are, regardless of your income, regardless of your social class, any of that. We're all interconnected. And so we have to undo these wrongs that our ancestors have done to themselves, and by doing them to themselves and their children, they've passed them on to their children, and now we've inherited them and have to do the dirty work of undoing it all. And it sucks, and it manifests itself in our lives in many different ways, but a lot of it, I know for me and the story of my family, it has to do with relationships, how we enter into relationships, who we become in relationships based on who we think we have to be. The Hierophant is the card of society. It is following the bounds of tradition. It is what we have learned what we are supposed to do and who we're supposed to be based on our family, based on our society, based on our culture. The people around us have taught us who to be. And a lot of times that deeply clashes with who we really are and what we really need for ourselves. And so this deception card, especially when it comes to relationships, maybe all of the models of relationships that you've had have led you to believe that there is a certain way that you need to enter into love and that you need to act in a relationship. And those things did not work. They were fundamentally at odds with who you are on the inside, and that clashed. And that clash has left you broken in a lot of ways. You know, you got the heartbreak card here. So, so this spread is asking you to move through the heartbreak and to release your emotions, to let that all go and to move into something else. Wow, yeah, that's powerful. You have the Strength card here, and the Strength card tells you that you are much, much, much stronger than you think you are. And I'm pretty sure it's this, the Struggle card and the Honoring Your Energy card talk about that. I'd like to read those from the book in order, the two of them together, because that'll help with this reading and give you further insight. 32. The struggle. Struggle is a part of life. So much so that you probably know people who seem to constantly attract one struggle after another into their lives. This is their comfort zone. While struggle is natural, it is natural only so far as it lends itself to learning lessons and overcoming interpersonal challenges. Beneath every one of these struggles is the gift of enlightenment, the satisfaction of a lesson learned. Use this knowledge as the light at the end of your dark tunnel. What lesson is this struggle teaching you? Alternately, after a brief setback, the situation will start to right itself. So yeah, struggle is a comfort zone for some people, right? And so maybe, like I was talking about that codependence and that stuff in relationships, maybe you've experienced with either your parents or some foundational relationship model within you that has landed in your subconscious is showing you that people fight. Maybe that like fighting and bickering is a part of your model of how a relationship is supposed to be, and so you find yourself entering into these relationships where fighting is a natural part of it, and it's been really hard and not working for you because of that struggle stuff, right? And it's natural, but so far as it lends itself to lessons and overcoming interpersonal challenges. Beneath all of these struggles is the gift of enlightenment, right? This is the rune of enlightenment. So there you go. These struggling periods that you've had, instead of seeing them as something horrible and trying to ignore it and move on from it by pretending like it didn't happen or just moving straight into the next thing, maybe it's telling you that there are lessons in those struggles, that in that relationship stuff, in the things that happen to you and with you, maybe that there are lessons for you to learn to grow, and that by seeing it from that perspective, a growth perspective, and learning from those lessons, you will enter into a new phase of your life, right? The other card was Honoring Your Energy. We all have those days when we are disinclined to do anything. We try all sorts of mental tricks to talk ourselves into doing what we should be doing. Does this ever work? No. We end up feeling guilty, a very low vibration, for not getting anything done, which causes us to try twice as hard the next day, which causes us to get overwhelmed and exhausted, which then leads to becoming caught up in a vicious cycle. Ugh, we've all been there, right? I feel like that's the story of parts of my life, right? Ugh. But you can get over it. Your body has rhythms just as everything else on Earth does. Flowers, trees, plants, and the elements. The tides ebb and flow. The sun and moon rise and set. Animals hibernate, and flowers grow, bloom, and go dormant. You need to listen to the inherent cycles within you. Rest when you need to. Work when you need to. Do not try to outthink the natural rhythms. Go easy on yourself and reserve judgment. You are your own harshest critic, right? So you are incredibly strong. The Strength card says that, and you are your own harshest critic. So, make sure that you're not putting yourself down. Make sure that you're giving yourself self-love and that you're resting when you need to. You have the Four of Swords here, which is the rest card. This card is asking you to make sure that you take time to sit and to do nothing, literally nothing. If you meditate, do it. If you don't, that's okay. Maybe look into it, but also just give yourself periods where you aren't doing anything, where you don't need to do anything, and be okay with that. Don't feel guilty for taking breaks. Don't feel guilty for resting, and don't feel guilty for doing nothing. Sometimes we need to just decompress and do literally nothing. And that when we actually take the time and we're present with ourselves when we're doing nothing, instead of feeling guilty about not doing anything and just procrastinating what we should be doing, if you give yourself that period of doing absolutely nothing that you need, you will enter into just doing what you want to do naturally, and you'll fall into when you're ready to do that thing, and it'll be way more easier to pick it up because you took the break that you needed than pushing through it and then not actually doing it. And then maybe this rest period is time for you to self-reflect and to get to that breakthrough period that the Kaunas is talking about. You have that breakthrough coming to you, but it's going to come through your own personal inner strength. And once you do it, you have the Ace of Wands here and the Page of Wands. The Aces and the Pages both talk about starting something. The Ace is the very beginning of the suit. It means the beginning of a journey in that suit. And the Pages are the very first of the royal cards. They talk about a student in something or learning something being at the first steps of following that journey. And so your new journey is manifestation. The wands are about making things happen, following your inner passion and your inner drive, knowing who you are and what you want, and unquestionably following that and not letting anybody get in your way. And you have that journey coming to you. Once you stop and rest and work through some of this stuff that's inside, you'll go through this breakthrough. And that breakthrough is opening up to you this new phase in your life that is powerful. And the final cards, we have 2 9 of Pentacles. This is incredible. So when 2 cards show up at the same time, it's really indicating that this is the focus that you need to focus on, or this is the focus of the reading, that it really wants you to know that this is here and coming for you. And this is the ultimate abundance card. She is joyously enjoying her life in the best way possible. She's living her life for her. She's in ultimate abundance. She's surrounded by the finer things in life. She's enjoying this garden with this bird, and she's living her life for her in a happy, positive way. And she's alone here, so maybe you need to learn how to be comfortable on your own. You need to become the 9 of Pentacles where she doesn't need anyone. And then once somebody else comes into her life, it comes from a place of her being complete in herself first. It's changing from that idea of needing someone to complete you to completing yourself and finding another complete person to enter into your life with you. Two half people don't make a full person, right? It just makes 2 half broken people, and that leads to awful codependent relationships that don't work. You need to come together with someone who's also a whole person inside and out, and then that's where true, comfortable, loving relationships can come into your life. That's all the cards. Wow, that's so powerful. I think I touched on all of it. You are so much stronger than you give yourself credit. You are so, so, so strong. Lean into your strength. Learn your strength. Know who you are, because you're wonderful and you have that within you. And you might have to move through and release things from the past or from things that weren't even yours to begin with, that you inherited from family members. But once you take that work, the work that you put in never goes away. The work that you do on yourself and that you do on ancestral trauma in particular, if you're willing to put in the work and to right those wrongs and to move through that energy and to come to the other side of it, once you do that, it doesn't go away. And if you ever have children, or you have nieces and nephews, or you have whatever, the next generations of your family line if you want to have kids or you're going to be around them, whatever, they won't have to go through that burden. You will have saved them from that. Your work that you do translates beyond from you. So you have all of that coming to you, and it's really beautiful. The things that you can break into, the breakthrough you can get through, is very beautiful and very wonderful. And that's coming to you if you do the work. And the work is resting. As counterintuitive as that sounds, the work that you're being asked to do is to just take a break for a minute and process. Allow yourself to process all of the things you need to process and to move through the things that you need to move through. And, you might be like me where I just feel like, if I'm not doing anything, what's the point? Or it's how is this going to work if it's doing nothing? But honestly, resting is going to give you that reset that you need, so that once you move forward, the actions that you start taking won't be blocked by all of this stuff. You won't be blocked by this heartbreak anymore, and you'll be moving into a life that you want for you, that's good for you, that's really, really good for you. Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's the reading. We're going to do the poem now. So what's going to happen is I'm going to roll a bunch of dice and generate some words, and those are going to give you further insight into this reading. This card shifted and moved around, so just to further emphasis, make sure that you're resting. I know I feel like a broken record here, but really, you need to take a break. Whatever you're doing, this is really important message for you, is make sure you're giving yourself time to recoup, to regenerate, because if you don't do that, you can't move forward, right? Once you rest and regenerate, you will be able to do anything you want to accomplish. But if you don't do that, you won't be able to do any of that. You'll be run down always, and that tiredness is just going to keep weighing you down and dragging you. So yeah, make sure you're getting rest. Please do it. Well, way, take, hand, no, was. So you have well, the, way, take, hand, no, was. Okay, I'm going to rearrange those into something that makes sense. All right, I got take the hand, well, was no way. So, I guess that's like, didn't work. And there was no way it was going to work. If this is talking about a relationship, like taking the hand, well, there was no way it was going to work. So, I don't know if that helps you or not, but it seems like you left a relationship that really wasn't meant for you. And as hard and hurtful as you feel from that, maybe take solace in the idea that there's nothing you could do to have made it any better. You did everything you could, and there's nothing else that can be done in that situation. So forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for anything that's happened. Don't blame yourself. Don't hold yourself back accountable. Hold yourself accountable for your actions, obviously, but don't berate yourself. Don't put yourself down. We all go through hard, difficult times, and in order to get out of those things, we have to nurture ourselves. We have to comfort ourselves, and we have to tell ourselves that we're good enough, because you're good enough for someone to be in your life who really loves you and wants you for you. You are good enough. No matter what, you are always 100% worthy of love. We all are. We all are. You are worthy of love, and you're strong. You're a deeply, deeply strong person, and you're stronger than you give yourself credit, and you're your own harshest critic. right? The struggle card says that, or the honoring your energy card says that. So remember to rest and give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. It's okay. It's okay. Whatever happened, it's okay. It's going to be okay because you're entering into a period of ultimate abundance. Once you learn to see the beauty of you, because the beauty of you is there. You are a deeply wonderful, beautiful person, and you just need to find a way to see it because it's there. It's a part of who you are. And you're entering into that new journey, that powerful vision and version of you and yourself. You're getting there. You're finding it. It's there for you. It really, really is. That's your reading. I hope that worked for you. I hope you like it. Let me know in the comments what you think either way. If you could subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, I would love that. I'm really trying to grow it. Deep, deep, deep thanks to everyone who's subscribed so far. I really, really appreciate you. I've got private readings now available. There's two different options. I can do either a one-on-one web chat that's a little bit more expensive, or a little bit less expensive. I can do a video recorded chat or recorded reading that is less personal but will still be equally insightful for slightly less money. Both of those options are available on my website. Go to www.junodrome.com and we can set something up. I would love, love, love to hear from you. So, thanks again. If you want to stick around for the full poem, in just a minute I'm going to read all of the poems from each book from the entire video. So, thank you so much. I'll see you later. Hang in there. You're wonderful. I love you. See ya. All right. Hey, everybody. This is the full poem from tonight, or from today. So, thanks again, and yeah, here we go. How I sneaked the rear offer, and a Mr. and I jumping reins. Take the hand, well, was no way. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later. Have a great day.